Welcome back to Chymick Gaming, and part 2 of the deep dive into the lore surrounding the ancient Sheikah tragedy that has put the fate of Hyrule in jeopardy. If you missed the first part of the dive, check out the link in the description below and join us when you're ready. This will be a Tears of the Kingdom theory. Eat your spicy peppers and equip a flame weapon, because these waters are cold. We are descending some cold and murky waters here, but the treasure that we will discover at the bottom will be worth it. Stay with me. We'll be there soon. Get your shovel ready. Have you ever wondered why Ganondorf didn't reincarnate at any point during those 10,000 years after the first Great Calamity? I know that Breath of the Wild tells us that he gave up on reincarnation, but why did he give up? The Tears of the Kingdom trailers seem to show us Ganondorf is neither fully alive nor fully dead. He is literally trapped, possibly between worlds, with malice pouring off of him and some mysterious power holding him in place. I believe Ganondorf gave up on reincarnation because he tried for 10,000 years and was unable to come back under the natural order. Something has disrupted the natural order. Something has disrupted the eternal cycle of reincarnation. I realized that there was a massive battle that destroyed Castletown, but where are all the people of Hyrule? There are a small number of sparsely populated villages with very few children scattered across the kingdom. Where are the refugees of the battle? Where are the survivors and their descendants? The Sheikah platforms built into every shrine and tower have the power to convert a physical person into a form of energy that they can then transmit to another location. We see Link go through this process countless times during any playthrough of Breath of the Wild. The Sheikah had this capability at some point near the peak of their technological power. They created a network of towers and shrines across Hyrule that are capable of picking Link up from almost anywhere and pulling him in the form of energy to one of those network locations before reconstituting his physical form. It's not hard to believe they would have other applications for this sort of technology. It seems like the first part of the process would be learning how to break a person down into a form of energy that can be transmitted. Learning how to put someone back together would probably come second. Unless they had other plans for that energy, in which case it could be a long time before they considered bringing a person back from a deconstructed state. I believe this is part of the reason why there is only one Shrine of Resurrection in the entire network. It very well may have been the last of the ancient Sheikah constructions before the king discovered what was really going on behind the scenes, and deep underground. Which finally brings us to the Master Sword. In addition to powering their technology, the Sheikah seem to have been dedicated to replicating the power of the Master Sword. There is evidence of this in the description of the Royal Guard sword. They even appear to have practiced replicating the placement of the sword in a stone pedestal, the way the chosen hero tends to find the true Master Sword. But why? The Master Sword is a divinely forged blade that has been tempered by the sacred flames of 3 other divine beings and blessed by the first mortal incarnation of the goddess Hylia. It is also inhabited by a divine spirit, created by Hylia, to safeguard the blade and ensure that it only be wielded by its true master. Essentially, the Master Sword is extremely well made. It's not a fragile thing, and it's not something that is likely to be irretrievably lost or accidentally destroyed. So why would the Sheikah feel the need to create another one? Even if it was a scientific curiosity or a military goal, why go through the pageantry with the stone pedestal? When I first played through Breath of the Wild, I thought the idea of the Master Sword breaking was really weird. Actually, it made me angry. And when I read the item description for the Royal Guard sword, I grew very suspicious. The Master Sword behaves exactly like that description, except that when it explodes, it can be reconstituted back into its physical form, just how Link can be reconstituted back into his physical form by the Sheikah platforms. It's how the Sheikah technology is designed to work. I want to be clear, I don't have any idea what happened to the original Master Sword. Maybe the Sheikah accidentally destroyed it while researching its power, or attempting to alter it in some way. Maybe it was really lost during the millennia of peace after the first Great Calamity. However, I believe the tapestry tells us more. The tapestry hero does not look to be holding the Master Sword. I realize that it's up for debate considering the stylized art, but the sword in the hero's hand bears little resemblance to the Master Sword. beyond being a one-handed sword. If anything, the helix design on the blade harkens back to the design of the fierce deity, though I'm not saying this is the fierce deity sword. That would be terribly absurd, and equally fantastic. What I'm saying is that the ancient Sheikah scientists were conducting their research during this time period, during the First Great Calamity. Towers, shrines, divine beasts, the Sheikah slate, and Master Sword replication is all part of the same technological focus. It's all part of the same story. Every other project was a success. Why should we assume that this one was any different? The image of the broken Master Sword in Tears of the Kingdom has two details that caught my eye. The first is the most severely corroded parts of the metal, especially where there are sections missing from the blade. This metal is a very dark color, the same color, in fact, as the Royal Guard swords. The second detail to catch my eye was the pattern across the remaining metal. It has a very comparable geometry to the conduit patterns we see in Sheikah technology. Everything from a shrine, to a guardian, to the Sheikah slate, anything and everything that is powered by the blue mana energy that we can see is a cornerstone to their scientific advancement. The scientists needed a powerful source of energy to elevate their poor substitute into a masterful forgery. It drains the life of its wielder when it's first drawn, something never seen in the Master Sword until now. Then, after its mana is depleted, it shatters into the shape of a spiral, the primal symbol and invocation of spiritual power. Considering what we know of the previous kings of Hyrule, I doubt he ever believed the situation would go as far as those scientists took it, which explains his forceful action in the second half of the Tapestry story, forcing a return of the Sheikah clan to its original devotion and faith in the goddess. We've made it to the bottom. You already have your shovel ready. That's the spirit. I'm looking for some buried treasure too. In my last theory, I mentioned how I believe that the story for Tears of the Kingdom will compound the sense of a tragic fate by confronting the player with an immediate tragedy, such as Zelda's death, and a tragedy of the past that will slowly be revealed. If the science of the ancient Sheikah has somehow affected the reincarnation cycle, if the cycle is broken, then Zelda's soul may not be able to reincarnate. Maybe no one can. Ganondorf has not reincarnated in 10,000 years. His spirit is trapped after some apparent defeat. Also, Link didn't reincarnate the last time he was defeated. When he fell in battle, as shown in Breath of the Wild's memory sequences, his body was quickly taken to the Shrine of Resurrection. It took 100 years to revive him, and he had lost all of his memories. However, he is the same incarnation, preserved for the next battle with Ganon. It would create a narrative symmetry to have the reincarnation cycle withheld or interrupted for the last of the three wielders of the Triforce. It's literally Zelda's turn. However, if that turns out to be the case, it will have a completely different implication and cast an incredibly dark tone on the narrative. The stakes of this conflict will be unbelievably high. We will likely have to knock on the doors of heaven itself before it's over. Tears of the Kingdom is set to be a story of redemption, but before we can help Hyrule find redemption for all the suffering in its past, we will have to uncover all of its darkest secrets and lay all of its sins to bear. Hints of this terrible tragedy have been all around us in the form of luminous stones, from which the in-game description says are rumored to glow due to housing the spirits of the dead. Someone who is spiritually minded, or even superstitious, might caution against tampering with such things for fear of disturbing the natural order, but a more scientifically minded or even skeptical person might be curious to discover how a rock gets enough energy to produce that wondrous glow. The Master Sword was also a clue by breaking into the spiral symbol. Link himself was a clue by dissolving into a wave of energy from a luminous spiral pattern. And the final clue was that eerie sense of loneliness present throughout the Breath of the Wild adventure. There was still plenty of room in Hyrule for more villages and characters without taking away from the wide open wonder of exploring a vast and wild land. When night falls, and I see all the luminous stones light up in the distant corners, I can't help but think, there you all are. I hope that, in Tears of the Kingdom, I can set you free. Let's head back to the surface. I don't know about you, but I'm getting the chills down here. Regardless of the reason, Link will likely be without the Master Sword for much, if not all, of Tears of the Kingdom. What this means for the spirit that slumbers within the legendary blade, or for the once decaying remnants of the Demon King demise, I do not yet know. That will all depend on whether or not the broken sword that we have seen in the trailers is really the true Master Sword. Either way, there are dark skies ahead. Let's head to shore. When we consider those dark skies in our future, we should never forget who we are in this story. We are the player, a being from another layer of reality that's taken on the mortal incarnation of the goddess's chosen hero. We are Link's eternal spirit of courage, reincarnated game after game, to face whatever dangers lie ahead of him, for the sake of Hyrule, for the sake of the princess. Just remember, it's dangerous to go alone. Thank you for keeping me company while we traversed those dark and chilling depths. If you enjoyed the video, click that like button and consider leaving a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to Chymick Gaming to be on deck for the next deep dives when they splash. There's always more buried treasure in these waters. And as always, thank you for watching.